Hello friends, myself Sampath Kumar. In this video we are going to solve problems of departmental accounts. In the earlier video, that is a part number 1, we have discussed the theory part, like what are the different methods of accounting for the departments and what do you mean by this stock reserve, how do you allocate the common expenditure. So the most of the theory has been discussed in the first part. If you happen to watch this video for the first time, watch that video, then come back to this video and you watch it for the better clarity. But coming to today's video, we will be talking about, or we will be solving only the numerical problems. For that, what I have done is I have taken ICAI CA Inter material and question number illustration 4. This is something that I am going to solve on the board today. So let's start. And if you are a student of CA, I request you to open this book and have it in front of you, so that you don't end up just watching it, rather practicing it. Yeah. So illustration 4. Omega is a departmental store having 3 departments, X, Y and Z. The information regarding 3 departments for the year ending 31st March 2011 are below. So there is a company who has 3 departments, X, Y, Z, and they have given some information. If you see the information, X department, they have given opening stock. Again for Y, Z, like that they have given for opening stock, purchases, debtors at the end, sales, closing stock, value of furniture in each department, floor space occupied by each department, number of employees in each department, electricity consumed by each department. The balances of other revenue item in the books for the year are given below. Carriage inwards, carriage outwards, salaries, advertisement, discount allowed, discount received, rent rates and taxes, depreciation on furniture, electricity expenses, labor welfare expenses. You are required to prepare the departmental trading and profit and loss account for the year ending 31st March 2011 after providing provision for bad debts at 5%. So I read the question very fast. The reason, you need not waste your time in reading the question, but it is important that you read it once so that you have an idea of what are the different line items they have given, what are the information they have given. Okay, so the correct way of approaching a practical problem is, first you see what is given in the question as an information, what information has been given in the question, and what is the main question. Okay, so not just for accounts, the same logic will apply for your costing also. By using the information given in the question, we should be able to solve the main question. Okay, so whatever the question you see, it is not only the question, it is some information also. So we need to understand what information is relevant, and so that information we will be using in the main question. Coming back to this question, they have given debtors, they have given value of furniture, they have given number of employees, so much is given, right? That is will all come under information category. Some information might be relevant, some information might not be relevant, depending upon your question and depending upon your paper, like is it a costing or is it an account or is it an FM. Depending upon the situation, some information will be relevant and some information will be irrelevant. But what is most important is, what is the crux of the question, like what is he exactly asking us to do, that is given at the end of the question. You are required to prepare departmental trading and profit and loss account. So that is the main question. So we'll jump into that. This is a question, right? So before drawing the lines only, some interpretation should go at the back of your brain. What is that? In the question, they have given 3 departments, right? X, Y, Z. Okay, so you need 3 columns for each department and 1 more column for consolidation numbers, for the overall numbers. Sir, why are you saying this? The reason is that the answer is given in your book. You will be able to solve if you look at it. but I'm not trying to tell you how you should get the answer, but I'm trying to tell you what should be your interpretation in your brain to solve the answer. Because this answer might not come in the examination, there could be some other question also. But before drawing the lines itself, before drawing how many ledgers you are drawing, just take some 10 seconds or 20 seconds or 30 seconds or 1 minute depending upon your caliber. Analyze what is he asking. Okay, he's asking trade, departmental, trading and profit and loss. So it is a 2 components. Also, he's asking for 3 departments. So I need to have columns for X, Y, Z and consolidation. Why am I stressing so much? If you happen to draw only one line and after filling all the information, if you realize that you made a mistake in drawing an extra line or a lesser line, you cannot change it right now. So easily I can change here on the board, but you cannot change in the examination. It's a paper, right? So before drawing itself, before drawing a ledger, take some time in interpreting how many columns you require. So for this question, we require 4 columns. Okay, I'll leave some space for writing something. So these are the 4 columns. Debit, credit, here your particulars, I need not tell you, department X, Y, Z, okay. So better we to write one more here, X, Y, Z, total. Just as an example, now I could able to change it so easily, but it is not so easy to write it in the examination. So before drawing only, be clear with what you want. I need 4 columns. Yes, these are the particulars. And again here particulars. X, Y, Z, total. And we'll leave some space for working. In examination, you can draw a full length paper for this and maybe half paper for the remaining part also, because it is a bit cumbersome, right? So how we should start the question is, at the beginning he has given opening stock for 3 different departments. So you can write 2 opening stock opening stock for different departments. So this is easy reason. If you have studied the other topics, this topic will be easy, like the opening stock will be coming on the debit side. Again, purchases, 2 purchases, it's your expenditure should be debited, 1,32,000, 88,000, 44,000. Next, debtors at the end. He has given the information. Should I be writing here? Should I be writing here? Before writing only, you make an analysis. What do you mean by this debtor? Debtor is your asset, but we are not preparing the balance sheet. We are preparing the trading and P&L account. So it will not be coming either on the debit side or the credit side. Reason, it is not your income, it is not your expenditure. But then why has he given? It could be some other reason. We don't know. As of now, we don't know why he has given the debtors. We'll come to know when we read the entire question. But for time being, we don't know why the debtors has been given. Just because it is given, don't think that either I should be writing here or there. Okay, so don't make that assumption. You have to be very clear what items will be coming in your debit side on the trading account. Opening stock, purchases, wages, carriage inwards, direct expenditure, all the direct or indirect here will come. But debtors, creditors, those line items will not be coming in your trading account. So he might have given this debtor amount. Could be that he wants to provide the bad debts on your debtors. Okay, bad debt is an expenditure, so we will be writing here when it comes. But I'll not be jumping into the bad debts part as of now. What we do is, I just put a star mark there. debtors at the end. So kuch na kuch, there could have been some reason why he has given, right? So when we read the rest of the question, we come back to that. Sales is an income. You can write it here. One lakh 80,000, 1,35,000, 90,000. This total you can do it, yeah. So I'm not wasting time in making that calculation. And then closing stock, we all know the closing stock will be on your credit side, is your income. Opening will come there, closing will come here. 45,000, 17,500, 21,000. And then value of furniture is also given. What do you mean by this value of furniture? If you have watched my yesterday's video or the part 1 video, you would understand that value of machinery is given in each department. Like this, if you have a whole company and this is A, this is B and this is C, then he is giving how much furniture you have here, how much furniture you have here, how much furniture you are having here. That information is giving only for the reason that you need to provide the depreciation. Okay, whenever the question comes as to what is the depreciation, you can say, okay, I am having more number of assets or higher amount of value of assets in C, so I should provide more depreciation to C, less to A and bit more less to B. Okay, so that was a crux of the yesterday's video or the part 1 video. When the question is giving the value of the machinery, which means indirectly saying agar kuch bhi, whatever the expenditure you have relating to your machinery should be based upon this. Okay, it could be insurance on the machinery or depreciation on machinery or maintenance on machinery, jo bhi hai, agar if it is relating to your machinery, you should go on the basis of this ratio only. Okay, so for time being, the value of the machinery, though he has given in the question, though is giving in the question, will not be writing anywhere, because value of the machinery is an asset. You will not be writing on the debit side or on the credit side. It just is giving just to tell you that when you are providing depreciation, you take this as a ratio. Otherwise, don't take it anywhere. Floor space occupied by each department. Okay, so again the same question. One department is occupying lot of space, another is small space. Space, where do you write? Is 10,000 square feet or 1,000 square feet or 1 lakh square feet? You'll write it here or what? It's not an expenditure. It is just a base to tell you that if at all there is any expenditure based upon your space, you provide on that ratio. Okay. So some information you'll be giving just under the opening stock or closing stock doesn't mean that we will be writing under here or there. Okay. So you need to have some logical understanding of that. Fine. Number of employees in each department. So each department they are giving the number of employees. Again, you don't be writing there. Again, same reason I'm telling you, because you should not be making this mistake in the examination. You should not be writing anywhere, because the number of employees is giving only because if there is any expenditure which is relating to the number of employees. Understand like this: A, B, C. Here they are having 20 employees. Here they are having 5 employees. Here they are having 2 employees. For the whole month or whole year, you are paying 10 lakh rupees as a salary. How do you apportion that? Based upon the number, because here the number is more, here the number is bit less, here the number is the lowest, right? So the salary should also be going in that ratio. So indirectly is telling you that if at all there is any expenditure relating to your salary, you provide on the basis of the number of employees. Electricity consumed by each department. So one department is having more assets, another department is having lesser assets, which is consuming your energy. So if at all there is any expenditure depending upon your power related things, you provide in this ratio. So the information that they are giving for value of furniture, space, employees in each department, electricity consumed, all this is just to tell you that you take the ratio for that and use it somewhere. I don't know what is that. Depending upon the question, we will use it. Balance of other revenue items in the books for the year are given below, and they are giving some more information as well. Yeah. Carriage inverse. What do you mean by this carriage inverse? Before jumping into the conclusion, understand what is a carriage inverse. Carriage inverse is something that you are paying for the truck when you are purchasing. Carriage का मतलब there is a transport inwards. Okay, while goods are coming inwards into your factory, you are paying that. Okay, if it is your factory, to bring the goods from your supplier, you need the truck. To sell your goods to the customer, you again need truck. Here also you pay the charges, carriage. Here also you pay the charges. So this will be termed as carriage inwards. This you are paying while the goods are coming into you. Carriage inwards. These are carriage outwards. Okay, while your goods are going out, you are paying. Okay, so this should be based upon your purchases, because only on your purchases the truck is coming only for your raw material, right? And this truck is going for your sales. So carriage inwards should be based upon your purchases. Carriage outwards should be based upon your sales. Okay? Yeah. So coming to the question, carriage inwards 3000. Carriage inwards 3000. So this 3000, on what ratio I should bifurcate? Carriage inwards. Is there anything relating to purchases? Because the expenditure itself you have incurred for bringing the goods to your factory. So this is relating to your purchases. So here you have a purchase 1,33,000. So I'm writing 132, 88, 44. Use your calculator. 44 ones are 44 twos are 44 threes are 3:2:1, which means that this 3000 should be going into 3 departments on the basis of 3:2:1. So 2 carriage inwards. Okay, somebody might get a question. If at least one student is also getting, we should not move further. Carriage inwards is your direct expenditure because it is directly incurring while the goods are coming into your factory. So we are writing in the trading account. If you are writing here, that means we are writing in the P&L, but now we are writing in the trading because before the goods are ready for the sale, you are incurring that expenditure in the factory, right? So that will be your direct expenditure. So how do we write it? 3000 multiplied by 3 divided by 6. So 1500 here divided by 3 into 2, you will get 1000 divided by 2 into 1, you will get 500. Put together it will be 3000 rupees. You are understanding that? Many students might be understanding very easily, but my point is that everybody who is listening this video should be understanding, and you should not be getting any doubt whatsoever in the examination. It's okay to waste some more time, but it's not okay to waste your attempt. Okay, so keep that into your mind. Carriage inwards हो गया, उसके बाद में क्या है? Carriage outwards. Carriage outwards. While learning concept, it might take time, but if you are really sure, you can write it in the examination with confidence. Carriage outwards is 2700. Just now I gave elaborative explanation. Carriage outwards you are incurring when you are sending your goods to your customer. So it is based upon your sales, right? So this should be based upon your sales. So 180, 135, 90. So 45 twos or 45 threes or 45 fours or 4:3:2. Use your calculator. It's absolutely okay just to cross it as clearly as possible. Okay, don't be in rush. I know the answer because I'm doing it fast. If I don't know, I also take time in making it a simpler one. Okay. Yeah. So this 2700 should be a portion based upon 4:3:2. So we will be writing again that 2700 multiplied by 4 divided by 9. So this carriage outwards. Yeah. So somebody might get a doubt, sir, where do you write this carriage outwards? See, because the purchases are here, I am writing carriage inwards here. Because the sales are here, can I write the carriage outwards here? This is a doubt I used to get when I was in intermediate or that level. Okay, so the answer to that is that though it is your carriage inwards or carriage outwards, it is your own expenditure. If I am the company, when I am purchasing, that is also my expenditure. When I am selling, that is also my expenditure. I mean, like, to sell a product, I am incurring the truck expenditure. To reach the product to my customer location, I am only incurring. To get the raw material from my supplier, I am only incurring. Both are your expenditure only. It is not your revenue. Because you are paying to the truck, is it your income? No, right? It is still your expenditure. But the carriage inwards is before the product is ready, so it is your direct expenditure. Carriage outwards is once the goods are completed and is going out of your factory godown, then that will become your indirect expenditure. In simple words, I will write to carriage outwards. Understanding this, both are expenditure only. One is direct, so it's hitting your trading. Another is indirect, it is hitting your P&L. So 2700. So that is a doubt I used to get. So I felt maybe one of you might get it. So 1200 will be here, divided by 4 multiplied by 3, 900 here, divided by 3 multiplied by 2, 600 here. Okay. So 1200, 1200, 2400. So we got, hey, got wrong what? 25, yeah, 27. It's fine, you can do with a calculator, no hurry. Yes. So this is carriage outwards. The next one is salaries. Salaries, again, is it your direct expenditure or indirect expenditure? This is the, once the product has been ready, whatever you are paying, it will become your indirect expenditure to salaries. Okay, but whatever you are paying to your workers will come here as a direct expenditure, wages, if that is a question, but it is not that question. So salaries, kahan par aana padega hai? Salaries, how much is paying? Salaries 48,000. 48,000. Should I be paying based upon the salaries, sales? Should I be paying based upon the purchases, opening stock? I don't know. But the best option is, look at the question. What is most relevant? See, whatever you are doing, don't think that is exactly right in real terms also. That could be wrong. But for the information that is available, you choose the best possible. I'll go back to the question. Can salary be based upon your furniture? Because somebody is having more furniture, you'll pay more salary? No, right? So that is irrelevant. Floor space? No. Maybe there is one large area and there is only one employee, and there is a small area, there are 10 employees. So the space is not the criteria. Number of employees very clearly given. So I'm telling you, even the number of employees also not the exact way of apportionment, but for the information that is given in the question, number of employees is reasonably good. Yeah, so number of employees in each department is 25, 20, 15. 25, 20, 15. So 5, 3, 5, 4, 5, 5. Yeah. 48,000 multiplied by 5 divided by 12. So 20,000. So salaries 20,000 here. Divided by 5 multiplied by 4 will give you 16,000 here. Divided by 4 multiplied by 3, it will be 12,000. So 28 to 48,000. Yeah. Done. And then come back to the next point of it. Advertisements. Advertisement is also your expenditure. So to advertisements, how much is given there? Advertisement is 2,700. See, advertisement, if I make more advertisement for one product, there will be more sales. Assume like that, I'm a electronic company, I have coolers, I have ACs, or I have fans. Okay? Each different segment will have a different advertisement. For cooler different, AC different, or for this fans different. Okay? So if I spend more on one particular department, like I'm encouraging people to buy only my fans, so obviously I have to incur more expenditure and make it a sale, right? So the reasonable way is to apportion your advertisement based upon your sales. Okay, so 180, 135, 90, somewhere we have done already carriage order ke liye. So 4:3:2, on that basis you can apportion. So advertisement you can write it here. I'm not writing because we have another question which we need to solve also, or we will solve if you feel like that. 2700 multiplied by 4 divided by 9. 1200 divided by 4 multiplied by 3. 900 divided by 3 divided multiplied by 2. 600. 15, 2700. Yeah, exactly. Hey, carriage order. Yeah. So we could have simply written the above amounts there. Discount allowed 2250. When you are giving discount, you will give discount if you are making a sale. If you are making more sales, you will give more discount. See, discount given is based upon your sales again. So discount amount is allowed 2250. One question you listen properly or you solve it on your own very, very clearly. There won't be any ambiguity or doubt in this. So discount allowed is again based upon your sales 4:3:2. 2250 multiplied by 4 divided by 9. 9000 divided by 4 divided by 3. 750 divided by 3 multiplied by 2. 500. So 1250. 50. Yeah, 1250, yeah, 2250. And then discount received. I am the company, I am receiving the discount. It's my income. So it should be coming on the income side. By discount received. So discount rates received. What should be the basis for this discount received? If I am purchasing more, I'll see in the same way when you are selling more, you will be giving you will give more discount, right? In the same way, when you are purchasing more, you will be getting more discount. Okay. So this discount received should be based upon your purchases 1800. So it's more of common sense. 99% it will tally. I mean, like it will answer will be right only. But you think what is the basis for that expenditure? Okay. So it should is on a purchase. Purchase के लिए what we have done, we have taken one ratio also. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. 3:2:1. 900 divided by 3:2. 600 divided by 2. 300. So 900, 1800. Yes. And then rent rates and taxes 7500. So I'll write it here. Rent rates and taxes. How much? 7500. Rent rates and taxes 7500. So rent, how do you apportion rent? Because one department is occupying more space, so you allocate more to it. One department is occupying less space, you allocate more, less to it. So it's again based upon your space. Space के लिए कुछ दिया था ना क्वेश्चन में. Floor space occupied by each department in square feet is 3000, 2500, 2000. Okay. So 3000 बोलते you write 6 and 2500 बोलते double it 5 and 4. Okay. Yes. 7500 multiplied by 6, 1150. Yeah. 3000. So this will be 3000 divided by 6 multiplied by 5. 2500 divided by 5 into 4, 2000, so 5000, 7500. Yes. And then what else is the question? So now you're understanding, right? The way you interpret, the answer is there in your book also. I'm not telling this is something great, but this is a way you should think, while solving the answer. Depreciation on furniture. Depreciation on furniture. Is there any information relating to the furniture? He has given depreciation on furniture 1000, and what information he has given? Furniture ke liye he has given the value of the furniture. Value of furniture in each department 20, 20, 10. Well, the 2:1. So 5, 2 by 5 also. By 2, 2. Okay, I'm also very. 200, so 1000 it's coming. See, our focus should be on the concept, okay? So the numbers, somebody who's good with the maths, you can do it on their own. I've seen people, but even if you are doing with the calculator also, it serves the purpose. You can come out with good numbers, okay? So depending upon your capability, you either do it on your own or you use your calculator, but in no case we should make a mistake. Electricity expenses 3000. Electricity expenses. What is the electricity expenses? 3000. What is the basis? Out of the all, one question, one point is there. Electricity consumed by each department 321. 321. So 5, 6 हो जाता. 6 half 1500. 1000. 500. 1500. Yes, 3000. And then what else is there? Labor welfare expenses. Labor welfare expenses. What is the expenditure? 2400. Labor welfare expenses 2400. And what should be the base? Labor, there are number of employees, right? Somewhere we just rubbed it. Okay, so number of employees 3:2:1. 3:2:1. 6. 1200. 4. 800. 400. 12, 24. Yeah. 2400. That's it. And what else he has given? Provide for provision for bad debts at 5%. So here you can provide provision for bad debts 5%. What should be the base? 5%, because it can be sales. But don't make that mistake, because that if there is no other information, you can make it on the basis of sales. But in question, he has very clearly said there is a debtors at the end. Closing debtors de diya na. So that should be the basis for your provision for bad debts. Okay. So I'll write it here. Provision for bad debts, it's 5% on your closing debtors. Closing debtors, they are given 15, 10, 10, 15,000, 10,000, 10,000, multiplied by 5%, 5%, 5% in each case. You write it here. Then done. Then the procedural aspect now. You close it here separately. You close it here. You get the gross profit. How do you get it? I'm sure when you are coming for the departmental accounts, your concepts would have been better by now. Add these two, deduct these three, you will get gross profit. In case if you are getting negative, that's a gross loss. Add these two, deduct these three, you will get some amount here, that is your gross profit. Add these two, deduct these three, you will get again, that is your gross profit. That is gross profit carried down, same amount you write it here, by gross profit brought down, same amount will come 3 times, and you can total it also. That is anyway I'm leaving for the time being. This, you add these two, deduct all these things. If you are getting a positive, that is your net profit. If you are getting negative, that is your net loss. Okay, so there is no twist in the question, but don't think that you wasted your time in solving this problem. These are given some information, this question has given you some base to solve the main crux of a problem. Okay, so this is illustration number 4. So we will also solve illustration number 5. Okay, so you will get the answer, but just in case if somebody is happen to be a different student, you can see this from the description. The question will be there and the answer also will be there. All I tried my best is to make the concept clear, make the concept easy for your own interpretation. Okay, the answer is there anywhere. Come to illustration 5. Come to illustration 5. I feel this is bit complicated problem. X has 3 departments, A and B. From the following particulars, prepare consolidated trading account and departmental trading account for the year ending 31st March 2011. So what is the question? Just now I told you the logic long back, but before starting the question, there will be a crux. There will be a real question. The question is, prepare consolidated trading account. We need consolidated trading account. That is what examiner is asking. If you do anything other than this, you will not get marks. Maybe as a tip, you will get some 2 marks or 3 marks, but you will not get the bulk of the marks. If the question is for 8 marks, don't expect 6 marks if you don't do this. Okay, the main question is consolidated trading and P&L account, and then they have given some information. I'll read the information. Opening stock consisting of purchased goods at cost. They are given for both the departments. Purchases they have given. Sales, wages, carriage. I'm reading quickly because we don't have to waste your time. Carriage भी दे दिया. इसके बाद में closing stock, purchased goods, finished goods. Purchased goods, finished goods. Why is he giving 2 reason? You try to understand. Closing stock of 2 types. I'll explain this logic. There is a department A, there is a department B. They are having some closing stock. Understand the crux of the question, not the numbers. In their closing stock, there is a raw material, that is a purchased goods. They have finished goods, that is a closing stock. So what they are saying is, this raw material will be at cost only. Most of the times you don't have any problem with that. But this finished goods, it could be your own. Assuming I am A, you are B. I am A, you are B. I have my closing stock, you have your own closing stock. In your closing stock also, there is a raw material. That raw material is like purely at cost. You might have purchased on your own, or maybe I might have transferred it to you. So there will not be any issue with regard to this raw material which is at cost. But this finished goods, if this finished goods happen to be manufactured by you, you will always be keeping it at cost only. You will be valuing it at cost as to, you don't have any issue. But if that finished good is transferred by me, I am transferring it to you. When I am transferring, I might be adding some loading in it, some profit in it. So your closing stock of finished goods is having some profit. So that I should eliminate. The same way, you have transferred some goods to me. That good is lying in my closing stock. Means there is an unrealized gain. So that gain you need to remove it. Not at an individual level, at a consolidated level. This is the theoretical part of it, but we will not be talking the theory part. We will be solving with the numbers. Yeah, come back to the question. They have given the closing stock purchased as well as finished. Purchased goods transferred bhi de diya. Finished goods transferred bhi de diya. So purchased goods transferred, finished goods transferred. Both are given. And by B to A to B, you don't get confused with the words by and to. Okay, so we have to be very clear with that. You are informed that purchased goods have been transferred mutually at their respective department purchase cost. So I told you this logic. Purchased goods are given at cost and finished goods at departmental market price. If I am purchasing a raw material, I give you at the same rate. If I'm purchasing for 100, I'll give it to you 100 only. So it's for me as a 100, for you also 100. So there is no problem. But if I'm manufacturing something on my own and I'm giving it to you, I will be adding some profit to it. Okay, so that I'll tell you with the numbers. And finished goods at departmental market price, and that 20% of the finished goods closing at each department represented finished goods received from the other department. This is the main crux of the question. Like your department, in your department, whatever is a closing stock as a finished good, which consists 20% of goods received from me. If you are having 100 units, usme 20 units are mine only. If I am having 100 units, usme 20 units are yours only. Okay, so that is the logic. See, solving is one part, but before solving or before getting into the numbers, what is given in the question and what is it trying to do, that is something needs to be understood very clearly. Yeah. So whatever is given in the question, first we will fill it as quickly as possible before wasting time. Trading account. Okay. How many departments are there? A and B. So this is A, this is B, this is A, this is B, this is debit, this is credit. One of you might get a doubt and ask me a question, sir, why are we not doing consolidated there only? You can do it. You can do it. There is no harm in that. But because there are so many multiple things, right? Like A transferred to B, B transferred to A, usme again he transferred raw material, he transferred finished goods, again there is a return. So much instead of writing there, we will write it separately as a consolidation. So that is the easiest way of solving, right? And if you get a thought of writing there only, it's absolutely fine, but it will take some 2-3 minutes more to solve. Yeah. So opening stock consists of purchased goods at cost 2012 to opening stock 20,000, 12,000. This is absolutely at cost. Why am I saying? In the question you see opening stock consists of purchased goods at cost. He purchased and he has on his own. He has not got it from another department. So there is no stock reserve in it. I'll repeat this point just to confuse you so that you get that clarity. In one of the future questions we will come across this point. In opening stock also there is a stock reserve. In the closing stock also there is a cross reserve, stock reserve. We need to reverse this, we need to reverse that. All that concept will come in some next illustrations. Okay? When you are solving that question, you will get a doubt for this question. What that doubt you will get? Possibly, sir, when there is a opening stock, why should we not reversing the opening stock reserve there? The reason, both are absolutely at cost. उसमें कुछ stock reserve है ही नहीं है. There is no stock reserve only. So when there is no stock reserve, there is no unrealized gain. We need not reverse it. Yeah, it's not just for this question. This is for the upcoming questions also. Purchases 9268. Sales 1,40,000. So these things we need not discuss here because we discussed so much in our earlier accounting class sessions also, maybe for this session also. Which item will come on which side? It's a normal thing when you're coming to this level, right? So these are all expenditures. These are coming on the debit side. All incomes will be coming on the credit side. So sales he has given 1,40,000, 1,40,000 here, 1,12,000, 1,12,000 here. Okay, so you feel a bit bored while writing here, but the main crux is once we write everything, then our analysis part will start. Wages 12,000, 8,000. Wages, because it is a direct expenditure, I should not be giving a thought, should I be writing there or should I be writing here, because it's only direct expenditure. Wages 12,000, and 8,000. Carriage 2,000, 2,000. Carriage also again direct expenditure. 2,000, 2,000. Closing stock will come on this side. Closing stock, it consists of purchased goods. Purchased 4,500 and then 6,000. Finished goods, it is 24,000 and 14,000, right? So this is your closing stock, purchased goods transferred. Now the crux will come. This sales, what we are talking about, whatever we are talking here as a sales, this sales A is making in the open market. Agar if I am A, my sales are not to you. Assuming that you are B, I am A. So this 1,40,000 is what I am selling in my open market to the customers directly. This 1,12,000 is what you are selling in your open market to your customers. But whatever they are talking now, purchased goods transferred, this is interdepartmental transfers now. Okay, isme se, like in here only we should get a thought of stock reserve. Yeah. So transfer. Here I would like to draw your attention. Most of the times we make this mistake. We should not make this mistake by following a simple logic. Okay, the logic is purchased goods transferred by B to A. So you write it here. B to A. Who is transferring now? B is transferring. For whom it is an expenditure, for whom it is an income. When, see, I am B, I am giving it to you. I am giving it to you. You are A. When I am transferring, it is my income. When I am transferring, it's my income. I am repeating, when B is transferring, it's an income for B. When A is receiving, it's their expenditure. Can I simply say, it's an income for B, so I should be writing on the credit side. It's an expenditure for A, I will be writing on the debit side. So to transfer. Understanding? Purchased goods transferred. This is also purchased goods they are transferring. Again I told you, purchased goods will always be at cost. So B is transferring 10,000. So B is transferring 10,000. बोलते B के लिए वो income बन जाता. For B this will become income. I am repeating this many times. Understand this. B is transferring. So for B it's an income. So you should be writing in the B's column only. B is transferring it to A. For B it's an income. Income बोले तो should be coming on the credit side. And we should write it on the B's column only. So nil for A. For time being, don't write it in the examination. For time being, that is nil. So now think from A's point of view. For A, it is an expenditure. You come here, you write it purchased. For A, it's an expenditure, 10,000. You will be writing in A's column. Most of the times we make this mistake by writing here and there and making a mistake. We should not be doing that. By just going to a working note, you draw some pictorial image like this. B is giving it to A. तो इसका मतलब B के लिए वो income बन जाता. तो it should be on the B's column. For A, it's an expenditure. In A's column, it should be coming as a expenditure, right? In the same way, A is transferring it to B. So for when A is transferring, for him it's an income. For B, it's an expenditure. Okay. So once you pull one thread, another will be very easy. Next, finished goods transferred. Finished goods again transferred. Who is transferring? A to B. Now A is transferring it to B. So A के लिए this is the income. A is transferring. For A it's an income. For A it's an income. A it's an income. So in A's you will be writing 35,000. Purposefully in question they will be writing reversed. Just observe the question. For purchased goods, first he has given B to A, then A to B. For finished goods he has given A to B and then B to A. Just to confuse us in the examination, we will be in a stressful situation, right? So, but we should be careful enough. Okay, it's okay to waste 1 minute, it's fine. But whatever you do it right. If you are attempting 80 marks, 90 marks also, damn sure you will be getting 60 plus. That should be your thought process. So when A is transferring, for A it's an income. When A is transferring, B is receiving, for him it's a expenditure. So finished goods, when you're writing here A, you write it in B column, 35,000. Same way, B to A. तो B के लिए, for B it is an income. So for B you write the amount as 40,000. When you're writing here, you'll be writing here. Don't waste your brain again and again. Only for once you open the logic, you crack the logic, next will be automatic. Yeah, return of finished goods. Somebody might have told you this logic. When you're returning, it's your income. See, I'm a department. There is one more department. When I'm purchasing, it's my expenditure. When I'm purchasing, it's my expenditure. When I'm returning, it's my income. Again, I'm A is B. When I'm purchasing, it's my expenditure. I'll be writing here. When I don't like the product, I'll return it. When I'm returning it, it's my income. Should be coming on this side. Okay? It should come on this side. For whom? Who is returning it? Understand this. I'll repeat the point again and again. Only the reason is that everybody who is listening should understand and should not get a doubt when you're doing on your own. There is A, there is B. So we will think from B's point of view only. When A is giving, for him it's a purchase, kind of a purchase, we will debit. When he is returning it, it should be income. It's not a sale, but it's an income. It should be credited. It's a reduction of expenditure. It's not exactly income also, but for our understanding I'm telling, when we are purchasing, it's our expenditure. When we are returning, it's an income. Reduction of expenditure, we call it as income. So coming to this question, return of finished goods A to B. When A is returning to B, for him it's an income. So income ka matlab, it should come on this side. So returns finished goods, I think it's finished goods, yeah, finished goods for him, for whom? A. For A ke liye wo 10,000. So when it is income for him, expenditure for him. So to returns finished goods, A के लिए 10,000 बन गया, तो it will be 10,000 for B. The same logic, B to A. When B is returning, for B it's an income, तो B here आना चाहिए, यहाँ पर आना चाहिए. It's 7,000 here, 7,000 here. I shorted so much only to make that you are very much aligned with what I'm saying. Okay? Not even one student should miss out a point that should it be here or should it be there? It should not be happening that way. Okay? It's okay to take some more time. Again, my logic is, it's not okay to waste your attempt. Yeah, so having this much done, what we can do is, we can find out the gross profit. I'll try for one and then we have answer also, but just for sake. $38,500. Yes. $46,000. Yes. Yes. So what we achieved so far, what we achieved is a gross profit. This much, sir, where is the departmental concept here? There is no departmental concept. It is very much same. but what is different is there is a stock reserve which we will eliminate in consolidated trading account. How do we do? When this consolidation is been done, this is done at the father level. These two are like kids. Okay, this kid is coming and saying I got this much profit. This kid is coming and saying I got this much profit. But that is not the profit in reality. The reality profit will be different because he is having some finished goods which is having a loading, which is having a stock reserve. He is having some closing stock, that is having some loading. That needs to be eliminated. How? We need to prepare this trading and P&L account one more time. I'm just thinking, is it okay to rub this entirely? Fine. Yeah. So now to opening stock, as I told you earlier, there is no stock reserve in the opening stock because both are purchased goods and both are valued at cost, which is given in the question. So just add these two, you will get 20 plus 12, 32,000. Just add because we are doing at the father level, at the company level. And then purchases. So when I am saying purchases, this is not interdepartmental purchases. This is only outside purchases. 92 plus 68, 160. Yeah. So 160. And then wages. Wages 224. Transfers, for time being you leave it. And then buy sales 140, 240, 252. Buy closing stock, उसमें you have purchased वाला 10,500 and you have finished goods 38,000. Yes. So now what we need to do is we need to take out the stock reserve from this finished goods. From here you need your attention. No, I need your attention. From here I need your attention. This is at the father level. What he is telling is, kids, in your finished goods there is a stock reserve which I need to eliminate. Iska matlab, put it in a other side. Like this is on the credit side, right? You put it on the expenditure side. How do we do that? We will take a big working note. I'll rub this. So this should be your thinking pattern before starting the point. The point is, A has transferred something to B, B has transferred something to A. So in each department there is a closing stock. Here also there is a closing stock. Here also there is a closing stock. And in that closing stock, 20% is coming from B. From B's closing stock, 20% is coming from A. So now your thinking pattern should come from back. How? What is the gross profit normally A makes? What is the gross profit normally B makes? If you know that, the rest will be easy. I'll repeat. I am A, you are B. You have some closing stock, usme 20% is mine. I have my closing stock, usme 20% is yours. So now to eliminate the stock reserve, what I need to know, I have given you goods, right? So the goods which are lying with you are mine. So I might have added some gross profit and gave it to you, right? So first of all, I should find out what is my gross profit, which I'm normally making, that I'll multiply from your closing stock. The same way, you find out your own gross profit, you tell me that ratio you multiply on my closing stock. So it's not like a formula, don't by heart it, but try to understand it. How? First, we will find out the GP ratio. This has to be done. Okay? So, these names are A and B only, right? Yeah, A and B. Sales, I just closed everything. have a look at the question from your side. A is making 1,40,000 sales. B is making 1,12,000 sales. That's how we got this 2,52, right? And then departmental transfers. Why are we calling this? Because departmental transfers also I made it at my market price. See, understand this logic. I am selling in the open market. I am selling to you, my brother. You are my brother. I am selling it to you also. So what am I trying to find out? If my cost is 100, I am selling in the open market at 120. I am selling to you at 120. So which means that you are nothing but my outside customers. Understanding? To manufacture a product, I am incurring 100 rupees. I am selling in my open market at 120. I am selling it to you at 120. So there is no difference, right? To both I am selling at 120. So I am just adding both the sales. This is the open market sale. This is a departmental transfers. And departmental transfers also, when I am transferring my own product, I am selling at market price. But if I am transferring my purchased one, I am transferring it at cost. So what I should consider? I should consider only the finished goods I am transferring it to you. I will repeat this point. This is very crux of the question. The numbers are very easy to get, but the crux you try to understand. Each department is transferring it to another department, both finished goods as well as purchased good, raw material. We have no issue with this because I am purchasing for 100, I am selling it to you for 100. There is no stock reserve, right? So you eliminate this. Even for the gross profit ratio, there is no profit, only that. When I am transferring finished goods, that you take it as my sale, as if it is a sale. Okay. So what is the question you see? At the start, they are given purchased goods transferred, finished goods transferred. A is transferring 35, B is transferring 40. Yeah, A is transferring 35, B is transferring 40. Numbers are easy to get. I am not trying to tell you how to multiply, how to add these two numbers. Try to understand the impression or that. Try to understand the logic behind that. Why is he not taking the raw material? Why is he not taking the purchased goods transferred? Because they are transferred at cost. I am transferring it to you as if I am purchasing for 100. I am giving it at 100. There is no profit. So I am not considering this raw material transfer jo bhi rehta na, that I am not taking at all. Got it? Now there is a returns also. That is also given in the question. We have discussed a lot. 7,000 and 10,000. So from which angle you should see? If you are A, what you should see is not what you have transferred. You should see what you received as a return. Understand? There is A, there is B. When you are talking from A's point of view, you see how much is transferred to B, and when you are deducting, you deduct the returns that you got it from B, but don't deduct the returns that you are giving it to B. Understanding? So now when you are taking the transfers, you take it 35,000, and when you are deducting the returns, don't deduct the returns that A is making it to B, but deduct the returns that B is making it to A. So you are thinking from B's point of view. So 7,000, 8,000, and now see how much is getting. 28, 168. Yeah. So this is effective 168. See, understand the logic, not the numbers. 30 bole to 142. So this is his net sale, right? So what is the gross profit that he got in his individual trading account? That is also just cleared from the board. You see from the board, you will understand that 38,500 and 46,000. What am I trying to do? Understand the logic and try to understand. If I am A, my gross profit is 38,500. And what is this? This is my net sales. Net sales ka matlab sales which I am selling at the market price, net of returns. That's it. The sales which I am making it to the other department, should I be considering? Yes. What all you should consider? Only the sales, only the returns, only the transfers that you are making to the other department at market price. If I am transferring it to you at cost, I will not take it. So this is my net sales, this is my GP. You can find out the rate. So rate also I have already calculated. Anyway, it's given in the book also, but try to understand the logic point of view. 22.916 and 32.394. So what is this GP ratio? Why are we getting, you always be asking that question. This rate we are getting because in B's books there is a closing stock. What is a closing stock? You see the question. What is a closing stock in B's books? Which is finished goods. 24,000 for A, 14,000 for B. Now you understand, in B's books there is a 14,000 closing stock. In A's books this much is 24,000. Should you simply multiply? No. Whatever B is having, don't think that you have sent it to him. Maybe he might have manufactured on his own. Right? See, I am A, you are B. Can I say whatever is your closing stock, all I have given? No. I have given only 20% of it. The same way, whatever is my closing stock, you cannot claim that all is yours. Usme 20% is only yours, which means I multiply here with the 20%, here with the 20%. So I'll get some amount. $4,800. 4,800. Here how much you will get? 2,800. Right? So now again come back to our discussion. B is having closing stock 14,000, but of this 2,800 he got it from A. Same way, A is having closing stock 24,000, of which 4,800 he got it from B. Which means while A is transferring it to B, he might have included this, how much? 22.916%. Same way, when B is transferring it to A, he might have included this 32.394. So what is the stock reserve? Now you take it 2,800 multiplied by 22.916. We are doing cross. Why cross? Because each individual's closing stock is being given by somebody else. Okay. So again here 4,800 multiplied by 32.394. You multiply and you will get this number as how much? 2196. Okay, that is there in your book also. This is the total stock reserve you are getting, that you will debit here 2196 and you will get now the GP, gross profit, after eliminating your stock reserve. So this is how you can solve your trading account and consolidated trading account. We have solved 2 problems today, and if you like the video, please share it with your friends and let me know through comment section. We'll be making more videos of this kind. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.